Stock in focus all day has been Maruti Suzuki on the back of the news that the Manesar plant has resumed production after a lockout of nearly 1 month. On the back of this, the stock price is holding up firmly. We've got with us Mr. R.C. Bhargav, chairman of Maruti Suzuki, who now joins in live to talk about what the future prospects are for the company. Mr. Bhargav, thanks very much for taking the time out and joining in. To start off with, if you could just tell us how the situation is panning out currently at Manesar and what is the total workforce that has started production there, and how many units are expected to be produced?
Well, what we had expected to produce was 150 units when we started at Manesar. I am not fully aware of how many people have come to work there, but we have enough workers, including our own supervisors, who will ensure that this level of production certainly is achieved.
Right. So, Mr. Bhargav, for now it's 150 units that you're starting off with. But when can we expect full capacity utilization to kick in for Manesar plant? And also, do you think that this could happen probably as early as next month?
No, as I've said earlier, we have to wait and see how the situation develops, how the workforce reports, what kind of approach they have to working, and only on that basis we can keep making our future programs. I can't predict exactly what will happen, so in that sense I'm not able to tell you when we will get to full production, whether it will be next month or this month or when.
Fair enough. Well, Mr. Bhargav, from what we understand, as per reports, there were close to 500 workers who were found guilty of the violence at the Manesar plant. Apart from firing them, what are the other actions that the company is looking to take?
No, I think, let me make clear that these workers have not been tried or charge-sheeted or found guilty in any way. These are workers whom our internal inquiries have shown as having participated in the violence, and because we are going to start production there with people who have been through this violence, who have been injured in this violence, who have been the victims of this violence. One of the conditions of starting was that these managers and supervisors were very clear that they had to work where the people who were involved in violence were not present. These 500 people have been identified on the basis of their statements, on the basis of statements of people who were in the factory but who were not injured. It is a one-sided inquiry which we have held. We have not given the workers a chance to rebut this, but we are satisfied on the basis of our managers' statements and our supervisors' statements that these people were all part of the crowd which indulged in that violent activities on the 18th.
So, Mr. Bhargav, you yourself are saying that this is sort of a one-sided inquiry, and those 500 people have been, asked not to report to work based on the managerial statements itself. So, do you expect that there could be possibly some sort of disturbance that may be created by these workers, and what sort of security steps have you taken for that?
The district administration has ensured that outside of the factory, these people, if they create any disturbance, this would be the responsibility of the district administration to take care of it. Inside the factory, we are responsible for taking care of any kind of disturbance which may be created. And I think we have enough security forces available both inside and outside the factory to take care of any disturbance which might be created. In addition to the police force and the security forces, the local community leaders have all supported Maruti. They want production to start. They don't want this kind of violence. They don't want this kind of disruption in production. And so I expect that we may not even need to use the police force or anything like that, because the influence of the local community leaders will ensure that nothing wrong happens in the future.
And from what we understand, is the state government likely to initiate any legal action against these workers?
That's a separate action, because the police are investigating the criminal charges for the criminal offences which took place. One man died. about 50 odd people had their limbs broken, bones broken. So those are all criminal offences. The police are investigating the criminal charges, and on the basis of investigation, the police will file charge sheets against those who they feel should be prosecuted on the basis of the evidence.
Now, Mr. Bhargav, in terms of a rejig, in terms of the employee composition as well, you were looking to phase out contract workers. So the factory that's been restarted today, is it only employees who are on the records, on the rolls of the company? Is that it? And also in terms of the timeline about phasing out the contract labor, are you sticking with the timeline of about March 2013 as well? And what sort of implications does this have as far as the employee costs also are concerned?
At the moment, we are starting, yes, with all the regular workers only. The contract workers will have been asked to go through a process of selection starting from the 2nd of September. And all of those who are found fit will be offered regular jobs in Maruti. The financial implications are not at all significant, because the salary of the contract workers even before this trouble took place was only marginally different from what we pay to a worker who starts as a fresher in Maruti. So the implications will not be very much, but all these people will in future become regular workers. To the extent that there are still gaps in the workforce, we will have to recruit fresh people. That will be another exercise later on.
Understandably so. Now, you did mention that there are enough workers to produce 150 units per day. So if we talk about forward-looking statements, are you confident of meeting the delivery schedule now going forward?
Well, our delivery schedules will be based on what we are able to produce. So the two have to go together, because there is no independent delivery schedule which does not take into account the production capacity.
Mr. Bhargav, if you could just highlight for us then what has been the total, losses that the company has had to undertake because of this lockout over the last month or so, and what is going to be the action plan going ahead in terms of especially this, the Desire model as well?
Well, as I mentioned, we have never paid attention to the financial losses, because we have been concerned primarily with the safety of our employees, for getting the people who are injured back to health, for taking all the steps which were necessary to ensure their future safety so that we could start production. Manesar used to produce between 1,500 and 1,700 vehicles a day. We were closed for, I think, we gave the figure in the press conference recently that we were closed for 20 odd working days. And on that basis, we can calculate that we lost some 30 odd thousand vehicles.
And away from Manesar, are your expansion and investment plans in Gujarat running as per schedule? If you could just update us on the same.
In Gujarat, we are going ahead as per schedule. There is no setback there. And we will, I think our schedule for start of production in Gujarat is probably 2015. And that program holds.